Hello there and welcome to the first lesson for third year biology as part of Kinross High's virtual school. This lesson is the first in our unit, which is our connected world. This unit is going to focus primarily on the environment and human interactions around the environment. Essentially what we're doing to affect the environment and what the environment does to affect us. We're going to begin by looking at biomes. So previously in S1 you will have looked a little bit at planet Earth, biodiversity and the interactions between all living things on the planet. In this lesson we're going to look specifically at biomes, and then next time we're going to be moving on to ecosystems. So we would like you to be able to understand what makes biomes distinct from each other, and to show us that you can do that you need to be able to define what is meant by the word biome, explain how each biome is different, and explain what causes each biome to be different. So in your starter task, you were given a couple of prompts to think of. So what do you think about when I say the word desert, for example? Now, depending on what you wrote for your starter task, you may have come up with some words or not on this slide. So you may have come up with reptiles, big, Sahara, cactus, dry, spiders, hot, snakes, anything that describes the environment or the organisms and people that might be living there. Your other prompt was, what do you think when I say ocean? So again, you may have some very specific things that might mean something very specific to you. But also you may have had some of these words on your list. You might have had wet, salty, coral, big, Pacific, fish, seaweed, cold, any one of those things which again describes the kind of environment that it is, or possibly the plants and animals that are living there. And essentially that's exactly what we mean when we talk about a biome. We're talking about a specific region of the world, a specific area, which shares common animals, which are referred to as fauna, common plants, referred to as flora, and common environmental factors. So we have very different biomes in different areas of the world. We have some which are land biomes and some which are aquatic biomes. So land biomes might be the savanna, forests, tundra, desert, tropical rainforests. Aquatic biomes could be oceans, coral reefs, rivers, lakes. There are many more. And it's important to realise that these can be seen across the world and are really characterised as a particular biome based on the animals and plants that are there and the type of environment that it is, the environmental factors that are around there. So for example, you may have a desert biome, a tropical rainforest, a savanna, a temperate forest biome, a marine biome, or a freshwater or lakeland biome, present in any area of the world, but characterised by the plants and animals that are found there and the situation around the environment. And it's important to realise as well that the organisms present in these biomes aren't living in isolation. They're adapted to the environmental conditions that are there. So an animal that lives in the desert is adapted to live in the desert. They're also affected by any other organisms that are present there. So there might be predators, there might be prey, used as food source, not used as food source, and so on. So they're going to have quite a significant impact on what can survive and what can't survive. And when we consider the pattern of biomes across the world, what you can see is that different regions of the world consist predominantly of different biomes. So the polar region would be considered to be one specific biome, but obviously this spans a large portion of the globe. Similarly, temperate forests, the areas where we live, spans a large section, as well as deserts, which can be found in various areas of the world, grasslands, mountains. All of these would be considered to be different biomes and can be seen in different regions. You might also notice from looking at this map that biomes tend to be seen across very similar lines across the globe. So if we're looking at our latitude in particular, how high up the globe they are, you'll see that they tend to form in very similar areas. And really that relates to how close to the equator that they are, because that gives us specifically our temperature and often our rainfall as well. So one of the things that characterises the environment of a biome is how warm it is or how cold it is, and also how dry or how wet it happens to be. So a tropical forest, for example in here, is going to be much wetter than a desert region would be down here. So these areas would be expected to be much wetter, these areas would be expected to be much drier, but because they're actually around a similar area of the globe, you might find that their temperatures are relatively similar to each other. However, on the other hand, you may have the polar region where you're going to expect it to be quite cold, but additionally it will also be quite dry. There's not much rainfall there. So biomes are characterised by really the fact of how cold or warm they are and how dry or how wet they are. Consequently, because of that environment, different organisms are adapted to be able to live there. So you'll see very similar organisms in the temperate forests of Canada as you would see in the temperate forests of the UK, for example. You would also see very similar plants in any of these regions. So some desert plants might not be identical, but they'll have very similar characteristics seen in the deserts here compared to the deserts here. You would expect to see the same sorts of adaptations and ways of being able to survive in that environment. So from that, you should be able to explain what we mean by the word biome, explain how each biome is different, and explain what causes each biome to be different.